Oh, welcome back, my gardening friends. For those that don't know me, my name's Terry King and I'm the robotic allotment gardening on a budget. Budget, the word. I recycle, repurpose, upcycle, reuse anything that I can get my hands on. These blue barrels come to our works. They've got AdBlue in, and what I do, I cut the top off at that point, and then we cut that much off the top of the barrel, and those lids sit neatly inside. These are the garlic, the small bulbs in here, and these pots the cannabis growers dump in lay-bys side of the road. You'll see the compost shortly, and I've got that compost scattered all over the place, including any timber I'll get to complete the raised beds. Wildlife pond in the bottom there's a round water feature bottom. Suits its purpose, keeps a little bit of water for the frogs and the other insects. Now, when I first took on this plot, the plot holder who was leaving it put a price on the polytunnel, various barrels, numerous galvanized tanks, all the sheds. I think there may have been one polytunnel at IBC, which was £300, which seemed a lot of money, but we're 5 years on and I've still got the polytunnel, still got the sheds. We get regular break-ins, and the door was getting worse for wear, and my friend with a truck, where we do the truck diving, had got a door. This is going back a couple of 3 years. I've got keys, but I never leave it open. If people want to come in, have a look, don't break it. If you want to take something, take it, but just don't break anything. Mushroom trays, look out at cafes and public houses, drinking places, etc., and all these little punnets we save. We don't use them all, some of them get dirty, we throw them away. As long as we give them a chance. Yogurt pots, numerous containers, and I've got 1 or 2 batteries for the water feature and pumping water around the allotment. And there's the solar controller. Keep bags, and let's have a little look in the drawer. Not that one, but this one. The bags that your medication comes in, ideal for seed saving. Toilet rolls, I don't use those now because we use the kitchen rolls. There's very few plants I found like cardboard rolls, and it's the bean family that do really well in them. These are the garlic pips. They're doing quite well in the containers that I find dumped on the side of the road. Not always good composting, they normally stack them up for me. And these have got the garlic baubles in. They're in there now, planted up. The guttering, we need guttering on our allotments. That's all free, ideal for collecting water. I have purchased, yes, I've bought something, the piping. I noticed that's got a bit of a bend in it, just needs a bit of support, but that pumps water around the allotment. And I did buy 2 pumps for about £24 to pump water around, and I've had those now 2 years. My solar panel is up there, and I've incorporated the bug insect hotel. And for washing the vegetables, this is an old baby's bathtub. Again, it was thrown out, and I make good use of that. The garden canes, I've bought very few. In actual fact, that's all I've bought. And we've got timbers here. You'll see timbers shortly. These are all from pallets. These are the shorter ones. Those pipes there we got off the doing a bit of truck diving. And of course we've been collecting IBCs throughout More timber there. These will be used for the raised beds later on in the year. There we have the brassica cage with the blue water piping that everybody uses, so more of a hoop house. And I had some offcuts of some rebar, and I've got a video in my playlist on brassica cage builds. The polycarbonate, that come from another skip dive. I got 5 of those. All the plastic pipe that I've got come in with the purchase price, and there's all sorts there. There's even some shelving for the little polytunnel greenhouses. These are the cloth sacks that I use. Again, the cannabis growers who fly tip, sometimes they'll actually come in that. And what I did with the leeks 2 years ago was plant the leeks directly into it and just use my liquid plant foods. I've now removed the heads off those two, just waiting for this one to ripen. Right, we're moving to the polytunnel, and of course we're keeping the door shut to keep them nasty flies out. So I'll just pull it to behind me because we don't want them following us in. So I did a revamp on this this time over the winter. So we've got all barrels down there. I will be giving an update of what I'm doing in here. There's the guttering for the long vegetables, which aren't doing brilliantly well. And we made this raised bed, which is about 3 foot high, the full length of the tunnel, and that cost me about £4. Giant tomato, long chilli, long cucumbers, heavy onion, and heavy cucumber. All this compost has been recycled by very little compost, and I've already pinched another row out. And they're the carrots that I'm getting out of them. I dug this out and filled it full of water, but the taproot, as you can see, it is touching the manure. So if the manure has kept its moisture, we'll be well away. And the doorstop, bit of an old tree trunk. So we've got some seed saving here, poppies, Swedes. Hello, what's your name? We're all going to find out soon. And these are some of the bigger cardboard rolls and the kitchen rolls. Garlic has split nicely now. And there's my wonderful hat. This is the remaining leek, which got the beet leaf miner. It's now been sprayed with neem oil. And look at these. Remember, we cut them off right down there. I'm spraying these and that, but that started to get attacked and it stopped. Neem oil may be the way forward for allium leaf miner. All the slabs were recycled, repurposed from wherever I could get them at the time. These are some offcuts of piping, the collars. I've repurposed some of the buckets that materials come in. Pallet collars, you can't beat pallet collars on an allotment, and there's 3 more. I don't pay for them, but they just need a little bit of persuasion with a hammer. All the enviromesh you see on the site is what I've had to purchase, including the netting, which I bought 2 rolls of. Still got a full roll left. Polycarbonate sheets make an ideal cover. The compost bins are made out of all pallets. This is some old roofing that we salvaged, and these slats are just pallets that have been cut down, and they slide in the front. So this is the bay that I put all my spent potato compost in. This one here is the manure, and all the manure drains into there, and I put it into these containers. And this here is some more spent compost. As we move down the allotment, these are my spare cabbages. I don't think these are going to get nowhere near as big as the others. And we've got there an old water cistern that's in the loft normally, and these are storage boxes, holes in the bottom, and we make use of them. Now many of you see these covers, they're street lamps. So if you can imagine a domed top, a lamp in there with a base and then the pole, when it's illuminated, that's what we get. I got 3 of those, and then I must have got 400 of those, and you'll see them all around our allotment site now. These are my long beans. For the show, and this bit of timber was off a bit of truck diving, and it's been ideal to grow a little bit of successional sown lettuce. As Bill and Val kindly said, do you eat a lot of lettuce? We do, but not as much of what I've actually planted and am able to eat. It makes good compost. There's the celery. You look at the celery in the trench, and the celery over there that's just in normal ground, and then the celery that's shaded. And I'll show you the other celery on plot 1 shortly. These are plastic trays, and someone used the bottom, and I use them as little walking platforms. Lids off buckets of hand wipes, however many holes, and it saves using cable ties to hold your wigwams up. The netting on here cost me about £90. I think the whole thing was about 200 with the wood. Some of it's recycled timber and whatever. These blocks are surplus to requirements. New pots that I managed to acquire. Well, clean pots we say, used once, and these are the edging stones that used to be along here. These slabs are going to be lifted up and repurposed to help me and the neighbour control the weeds, because when you've got wire netting, the weeds are a devil to get out. These white containers used to hold some tarmac products in, and the blue bit is the factory laundry basket, and that goes in about another foot to stop the Jerusalem artichokes escaping, and the other little bit is on plot 1. These are plastic, and you can see the circles on them, so I presumed in the factory they were used for something, and were discarded. And one of the fellow plot holders on this site saw the potential, like I do with things, and everyone's had a few. These were already here on this allotment when I got it. So we're moving from plot 3 down to plot 1 again. These plastic bits of plastic, they are very useful. This wire netting was already here. These posts are from pallets. This is from the truck find. That was absolutely full of nails. I must have got a good saucepan full of nails from those, but what a great bit of timber I've got there. This is some old timber that I may use to support my future compost bins when I have a big change round. Recycle the bricks. They're quite expensive, those handmade bricks. And a new gate from a pallet. That's one of the first videos on hashtag starting a new allotment, which you are now joining. This is the issue we have with Twitch and what have you. It does get underneath. It's probably already in here. That's got to be dug out. Don't like using weed killer, but it may do. And not had to buy wheelbarrows. These are made up from 3 or 4 wheelbarrows. They're in a skip. Some get damaged bodies, some get damaged wheels, some get damaged frames. and I'll put them back together. Wood chips, gardener's best friend. Well, I do, I like them. If I spill compost, anything on the floor, doesn't matter, because once this wood chip gets really old, I'll be reusing it on the beds. Some posts, they're damaged, but bar gum, they're a good length, and they'll help support this fence on the areas that we're having problems. Now, the dumpy buckets, as we call them, they're like the little plastic garden things, builders use them. That's my latest requirement. Normally find those on the side of the road. They blew off builders' trucks. Now, they don't make the handles very strong, do they, guys? It's always the handles that go. So if you've got a really good one, and as you can see, this one's had its day, but this is the ratchet straps that lorry drivers use to hold the loads on, and 2 bolts. This is another compost find that my regular viewers won't have seen, and it's a nice bit of cocoa coir, and we've got 8 bags there. Again, these posts from pallets, and these hooks I actually bought, as I did with most of the fruit trees on this plot. These are the wood chips from plot 1. I've bagged them up. These were the worst of the worst, and these pegs, single use, I'll have those, not a problem. I've even got felt nails to pull out and reuse at a later date. So we've got wood chips all the way along here. There is something else in there, 2 bags of something. That was another extra find. Again, I haven't sorted this out yet. This was from a separate find, not as good. It's got loads of bits of wood in, but the worms will love that in those raised beds. And then we've got this other find of spent cannabis compost. Again, it's got some perlite in it, and it'll make for a great addition to the soil. We've had blight, or bits of blight, or die off. So any of these now that look a little bit dodgy, we're going to take them out. Now this is hashtag potato grown in a pot of turds. Look how green that is. You know, something I might just grow them in turds next year. And that was horse manure. This is still growing, but I've took the potato off. The giant potato didn't work. Leaf mould bins, all the tanks are full now, so it's a case of just catching a bit of extra water. The trouble is, we've got plenty of water, he says. I've already had 1 apple. I think that may have been a discovery. Now these are some potatoes I found on this plot when I was digging it over. See, I saved a few, and now we've got lots, and we can actually eat some now. Again, dying off slightly. Now I've used these full width boards. They're about 2 foot wide, not cut in half like you've just seen, deep in the ground to hold the comfrey back. And to help these cloth pots, these are bottoms of the barrels from out of the polytunnel. Every little bit gets saved. And there we have another one. Bit of screed from home, repurposed. Some wheelie bins that were fly tipped with rubbish in that came to our, we had to pick up. We've got the remaining leaf mould and the remaining of my homemade compost. Must get that moved now. My little burner, that's a litter bin, an old metal litter bin. So the domed bit there that's catching the ash now was at the top as the lid, and we've just put a little bit of angle iron in there. And yes, it's quite a nice litter bit fire pit. That's the my old wormery before we moved everything, and that's a mortar bin. Made quite a good wormery at the time, and I think I've found somebody to have that. These galvanised tanks were on the allotment, 2 good ones. Underneath are some hibernaculums. You'll see all this on hashtag starting a new allotment. Bit of offcut of a pipe is my comfrey pipe, and I reuse the juice bottles to hold some of my liquids, and hopefully I name everything correctly. Log ashes. Now the cardboard, I've been collecting that. That is just one piece of cardboard. I thought that'd be ideal to cover the beds. Yeah. While you can get it, you help yourself to it. And there's some more pallets, and most of this was also built for nothing. It didn't cost me a penny. This old mower, Qualcast, was left outside for the scrap man, and thought, well, I'll help myself to that. And you're thinking, what's this wheelbarrow front doing on it with a tyre? Well, that operates my trommel. Again, that's in my playlist if you want to see how I built the trommel. Yes, that's a shopping trolley upside down. So when we took on plot 1, well, the wife took on plot 1, the greenhouse was here, and I gave the lady £50 for that. I could have just said no, but I thought £50 ideal, and it seems to have worked really well. Christmas Day potatoes, and some of the failures and some of the good, but the shop bought supermarket cherry tomatoes, they're doing absolutely wonderful. A little bit of echo now, but these must be a different variety. Looks like they're going red, or that's just going mouldy, just needs knocking out. But I'm hoping that these are a different variety, so I might change the Boscoop Glory that are in the polytunnel when we do the revamp there. The round pots, yes, you guessed it, fly tipped. These are the wood chips under here. Now, I've had a little friend under here. I think he might be here. We'll have a little look. No, he's not here. A little mouse bin under there, and every time I lifted it up, he's been there, but not today. Repurposed the harbour from home, and I put all the potatoes under here for a little bit of shelter, so that they don't get too wet. That's the Chesterton windmill at Warwick. We did purchase that, but this was dumped or placed outside free for collection. So I helped myself, and all I've done with this is cut a V out with a bit of silicone so that the water travels round, so that the fish get a little bit of oxygen throughout the summer. And all this is the bottom layer is for the frogs, a wet area, and then we've got different areas full of little bits of material for the bugs to go in. The wife didn't want him anymore. Said he'd got a fat belly. Oh dear, let's go on a diet. So the pipe runs through the back, down into the pond, and you saw the battery earlier, and I've got to do something a bit different to this. This is an old bird table. I put a new roof on it. You saw some of that earlier over the leaf mould bin, and this was an old bit of furniture we had, and yes, it's an old axle off a cart from another country, and there's where the wheel would be. I recycled this tree and give it a new home before the plot was ploughed in, and I'm glad I did now. Excuse me, flowers. And we've got odd mushrooms that I've made. You can see that in the logging and storage part of my playlist. So some of the blue barrels didn't do so well. These are my saved seed, overwintered in a pot, doing pretty well. Seems to be reasonably blight free at the moment. Some more of the polycarbonate. Somebody put through those out. I presume they're bamboo that they've grown and just cut them off, and I might be able to make use of those. So these pallet bins here are temporary. Again, more spent compost with perlite in. I love people who put perlite in their compost for the cannabis growing. Thank you very much. Repurpose the scaffold planks. They're already now cut to length. Because they're damaged and knocked about, I've cut them at 140 inches, which means we get that sort of length at each end. And some of these, because I've actually cut some different sizes for the smaller beds, and obviously the width. The width will be 1.1 and the length 140. So as with all my bins that I collect, this is an old IBC, and this drips away nice and steady, more so when it rains. I say this is all temporary. You might think that's a lot of effort just for 12 months, but the celery's doing all right in here, I think. I'm going to do a reveal from each different area, because I've never been able to grow celery before, and I had loads of hints and tips. But is it worthwhile? Of course it is. That's all. Those are 10-litre containers, so you count it yourself. I'm not counting. I can't count. So the wife says that's a 20-litre in the middle, and some more barrels there are ready to go. So it's all repurposed, reusing. This bit of plastic was covering the compost delivery. It come in a square, obviously, because it's shrink wrapped around the pallet, and it fit nicely in there. I'm trying for the category for the longest, heaviest sticks, and these are still growing. We've still probably got another month or so before Malvern, so at least I can take 3 good sticks maybe. I was talking earlier, this is now near to the compost bin runoff. We repurposed the galvanised one. It saved it from the scrap heap because it got holes in. We lined it with some insulation plastic, and then the material runs out into there, and again we collect all the juices, so no juices go to waste on my allotment. It's all good stuff, but as we said earlier on, I'm digressing again. I'm changing plot 3 around quite a bit over the next 2 or 3 years, and this container in the top corners has been bleached by the sun that much that it's gone brittle. So this one, again, like the one you've just seen, will be cut off so far down, put into some pallets, and that's where the manure will go as well. Why am I moving that? Because it ain't damn safe. I've had one issue with this already, so I am keeping well away from it, and I'm going to drain all the water out, even if it's wasted. It's far too dangerous to get anywhere near that now. I put these fruit trees in, and of course the summer of 2018 it was so hot that the trees suffered. So 2019 I put these off-cut pieces of porous pipe, land drainage pipe in to water them, and what's happened? It ain't stopped raining all summer, and with advice they're always covered up so that my little froggy friends don't fall in. And there's absolutely loads of frogs around here. When I've been cleaning some of these up, the frogs have been everywhere. Well, I don't want this to go over 30 minutes, and we're getting close. So if you've enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing, hit the like button and share. I do really appreciate the comments, and I reply to every comment. it's getting difficult now replying to every comment, guys, so I may have to shorten my reply, but I do like the banter and the chats. Right, we're nearly 30 minutes, so happy gardening to you all. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now. Excuse me. That was worth the extra minute. Autumn gold raspberries, you can't beat them. Oh, no, please. I forgot my keys, I can't get in. I know how the birds feel now.